Alright, Victorum Gaming fans and SPQR fans, we're back with another video in our series on covering the talents for the various heroes that you can have in the game. And so our next one up today is the Brawler talent tree. So this one is basically all about sort of like dirty tricks and kind of not being a very honorable fighter, maybe. To start off here, this hero has learned everything he needed to know on the darkest streets of the poorest cities at night, all martial and no art. He is nonetheless very effective in battle. So it's a fairly simple talent tree. It does have basically, it forks after the first one, and so the first one you do have to have is dirty fighting. Another important thing to point out, again, this one is all melee actions, but there are no sort of statistic prerequisites, so something to keep in mind there. So we start off with dirty fighting. The hero tries to incapacitate a target. If the hero causes damage against an enemy with this attack, no damage is caused. Instead, the enemy and the hero make an opposed bravery check. If the enemy fails this check, he suffers a knockdown. So basically, you're trading up the ability to cause damage on a hero, and then there's another roll, and hopefully you win the bravery roll. If so, you then cause them to be knocked down. So in certain situations, that certainly is great. Knockdown enemies definitely get all kinds of penalties, but there's a lot of ifs here. So if you're giving up the chance to cause damage, and then you still have to succeed in a roll. Now, if you have a much better bravery score than your opponent, chances are, yeah, you might win, but it'll fail you at the wrong time, and then basically you wasted a whole action doing nothing. So there are other abilities that cause knockdown. Obviously, there's knockdown coming up here, but there's other ways to do that. So it's not necessarily one that you want to be relying on all the time. There's better, like we said, there's better abilities. So going with the first deviation there, piercing thrust is a great one. The hero makes a swift strike at a vulnerable area on the target. If successful, the target suffers a -1 penalty to any armor check made against this attack. So very nice there. Anytime you can penalize their armor, good deal. And then the other one is literally just called knockdown. So another melee action. Using either his foot or weapon, the hero attempts to trip an enemy hero. He can only roll 1 melee dice for this attack, and if successful, no damage will be caused. Instead, the opponent suffers an automatic knockdown. So it's basically an upgraded version of dirty fighting. Again, you're foregoing the opportunity to cause damage, and you're also limiting yourself to just one attack. So keep that in mind too. So really should probably only be used if you have a very beefed up melee stat. So that you actually are kind of ensuring that you do get the hits. And then again, no damage, but automatic knockdown. So there's no opposed bravery check. So like we said, it's just a better dirty fighting. But again, somewhat situational. There's just better ways of dealing with that. So knocking your opponent down is certainly great, but there's again, you're foregoing damage to then have a chance at basically dealing with them once they're knocked down. So there's other ways to go where, and maybe some different schools of thought, where just straight up make a build of your hero that will just straight up cause damage, instead of trying to go for some of these other ways. But at the right time, being able to knock down your opponent can still be pretty powerful, especially if they don't have a very good stats to try and basically get themselves back up. So that is basically the Brawler talent tree in a nutshell. There's not much there, and again, no stat requirements or anything, so basically any melee fighter can go with these. And yeah, beyond that, nothing too crazy. It's very easy to get the whole tree. Piercing thrust is probably the one that's most easily usable there, just because you're causing damage to the enemy's armor check. And anytime you can do that, that's going to end up causing more wounds. And if you kill the enemy dead, you don't have to worry about knocking him down. So if you guys enjoyed this video, go ahead and give us a like and subscribe if you haven't already, and then stay tuned for more content.